The 10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is Universal.
On 1010XL.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it. All right, sports concepts and rationalizations coming your way. We call it the 10-minute drill. We bounce a few things backwards and forwards, and at the end we give off a wonderful prize pack. Beef, what are we handing out today?
Yeah, we're hooking one lucky Guggen up with some complimentary parking at usapark.net for their next trip away from town. And they'll dine on us with lunch or dinner for two from Chick-fil-A.
We'll nosh together. We'll start with a real quick pop quiz. I'd like to know the only quarterback in the history of the NFL who in his first 4 games threw for 200 yards with a passer rating of at least 95. The only quarterback ever. Going back to Bart Starr and Otto Bleepin Graham. Who is it?
That's Gardner.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And that, Dan, is what makes this, mania only takes you so far. Ask Tim Tebow. If you don't have the talent and the production and the efficiency on the playing field, it dies pretty quick. That's what's so awesome about this Gardner Minshew mania. It's not just the jorts and the Uncle Rico and the memes and the mustache. It's the fact that he's playing the position at, as high as the top 5 to 10 quarterbacks in the entire league.
Very good.
That shouldn't be lost. The level of not just look. When you have a mania like Gardner Minshew does, you don't have to play great. You don't have to have he could be just winning games and have a passer rating of 85, and it would still be a fun story. But lost in the quad hugging jorts is this incredible production that he's given.
We'll take it. Speaking of quarterbacks, is it me or is there something going on with the number of sacks? I watched Andy Dalton go down 8 times, so I was looking up sack totals. Kyler Murray's been sacked 20 times already. That would be on pace for 80. Andy Dalton, 19. The Houston Texans, once again, have not fixed their offensive line, or it's Deshaun Watson's fault. Deshaun Watson is holding the ball too long. I saw that Gardner Minshew held the ball an NFL leading 7.3 something seconds on his touchdown pass.
Yeah, but he had to.
He was avoiding people and running for his life. There was another cat, Josh Allen, held one 6.5 and got crushed on a sack. Well, in the NFL, they're getting home in 6.5.
Or the D-line's got issues.
Yeah, so you better forget about that one. But I got 20, 19, 18, and 17, the top 4 guys. And Mariota and Watson are each one of those guys.
I'll tell you, I'll answer it this way. It's a bad time to be an offensive lineman because they have, they're calling this backside holding, right?
Yeah.
So they're calling holding more than ever.
Yeah.
Maybe guys are just being extra careful not to hold. So the NFL, in its over-officious ways, is going to end up getting the quarterbacks killed.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, they're calling way too much. I don't know. What a disaster. Hey, New Orleans, you big crybabies, you're ruining the game. This pass interference is a joke, dude. They don't ever change the call.
Well, it happened again last night. I give up. So here's my advice to any coach. The NFL just put this rule in to appease, and they have no intention whatsoever of changing PIs. There was one last night, Steelers-Bengals.
They called it offensive.
He put his hand he
barely touched him.
Come on, man.
It's like
I give up.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said.
And Mike Tomlin challenged it, and he got screwed, and it's not fair. The whole thing is a farce, and I don't want to deal with it. It's ridiculous. And guess what? I hope Jeff Prosser, as long as it doesn't happen to my club, the hometown team here, in the AFC title game or NFC title game, the exact same scenario occurs, and I hope the challenge flag is thrown, and I hope they deny the challenge flag.
I think what's happened
and hold up,
yeah,
and therefore make a total mockery, which it is already about a 97% mockery of what's going on.
As we sit here and kick this around, it occurs to me this might be on the teams. Maybe pretty explicit that, look, we're putting this in so what happened in New Orleans doesn't happen again. Don't be challenging these little back and forth infighting. We're going to trust our officials in the original call they made. So unless you just and that's what it seems like is happening, right? They stick with the call, whether it's interference or non-interference, if it's just jostling. You better tackle the guy or arrive 2 minutes early, and apparently the only time you ever miss that is when you're the referee in the NFC Championship game. So maybe the team should just keep that flag in their pocket on interference. They're not going to change the calls. I don't think they've changed any, by the way.
They have.
It's like 1 for 9 or something?
No, it's like 20. There's like, I'd have to look it up, but I heard the stat, and it's definitely double digits. It's like
they've changed interference calls double digits?
No, there's been like double-digit
Oh,
challenges.
yeah. I think it's only one or two or something, but I could be wrong. Dan, I've argued in the 6 o'clock hour that this is a huge game for Florida this weekend. This isn't necessarily – this wouldn't be Dan Mullen's signature win. This would be just like the win he got against LSU last year. My question for you right now, for Dan Mullen, a signature win, is it not just limited to beating Georgia or Alabama at this point? I mean, isn't that's what's next?
You can get into the rhetoric, signature win. I like the fact that he's 15-3 since he got it.
Yeah.
That's what excites me.
To me, a signature win takes you to another level. The win over LSU last year took them up a level. They're at that level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, beating Auburn would be nice.
Yes.
But as long as Georgia and Alabama loom, Florida's not going to get to their goals. So,
right.
Florida didn't go into a football season hoping to win the East. Now, they should, looking at the recent history, but I don't think that is the stated goal. Do you have I'm worried about this offensive line. Dan Mullen kind of took a page out of Doug Marone's playbook, I thought, and he publicly called out his offensive line. Can they respond against an Auburn D-line that has 3 legitimate pro prospects?
They won't be able to run, but Dan Mullen can cover that up a little bit with some short throws and such and use that as a ground attack, and that's what I expect him to do. I don't think they can sit there and grind it out. Or they come out and play their best game of the year so far. I think Florida's in a great position here to get the win at home, and I'll tell you why. I think Dan Mullen they've won on 2 different occasions this year. They've won football games and dropped in the polls. And so they're 5-0, and he can tell these kids, hey, listen, we're 5-0, and nobody thinks you're worth a damn.
That's true.
You guys haven't done anything. I mean, you guys got to be, all we do is fall in the polls. They had a little edge at their media day yesterday. I mean, Kyrie Campbell snapped at a reporter, and this is big boy football. Let's go. We're ready. We're every bit as good as those guys are. So I like where they're at. I like what's going on. I like the home field. The Swamp will be electric for the first time in a while. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. And they got a freshman quarterback. I call this the revenge of Nick's game, and it's your fault. We lost now
85
years ago, 93, wasn't it?
I thought it was 94. But
94, 94. Yeah, it was your fault. We lost to Patrick Nix,
his father,
and you admit that. You wear that proudly.
It wasn't my fault. I miscalled that one. I thought they would win the game.
What did you tell me?
It was just a typical Friday 5-pack pick.
It was Saturday at the game on the field.
Correct.
This is coming
from a guy. I don't understand your motive here. This is coming from a guy who single-handedly produced the most despairing point in the history of Gator football in the choke and doke. That is 100%.
And I wear that proudly.
Yeah, no, you don't, because it doesn't ever get brought up.
That was all on me.
But because you have a worse one, pointing mine out doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. The Gators were shooting for revenge against Terry Bowden and the Auburn Tigers back in 1994 after a devastating 93 loss at Jordan-Hare. And the boys were running out of the tunnel, and Prosser ran up to me giddy and told me we were going to put an A-whipping on him by 17 or more, he told me.
Should have seen Hick walk out of Doak Campbell Stadium with a 31-3 lead. That was real good. He couldn't wait to run outside and call everyone he knew and start taunting them at halftime of the choke at Doak.
That's not what happened. What happened. No, it was worse than that. What happened was it was halftime, and it was 31-3, and I looked at some Seminole fan on the sidelines, and I said, this is the way God intended it to be.
Oh, no. Oh,
and he punished me by
he found you.
Yeah.
Good.
No, not he. God.
God.
Football doesn't matter, Dan, to me.
Well, football does matter. God was just telling you shut up.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
No.
Yeah.
So anyway, but this is the revenge of Nick's game. Patrick beat the Gators twice. And if we don't win, then Bo will have offspring, seed, if you will. And in 25 years or 22 years, they'll beat us again, Pross. So the Knicks train must be stopped. You understand that, right?
I'm all for it, bro. We'll see what happens.
So that's what I think. But I do think they will not be able to run, but I do think they will find a way to move the ball and use short passes as runs. Little bubble screens and such.
I think this is a game where it hurts that Dan Mullen can't run his offense. That's clear after 2 games. Kyle Trask can't run Dan Mullen's offense.
No.
And that's a big part of his offense.
Yes.
Always has been. So, it's become so obvious, it might work against Towson or Tennessee Martin to just bring Emory Jones in for the run plays, but that's not going to work against a good team.
One of the Florida quarterbacks of the future, Amp Richardson. Gosh, who did they play? We did highlights of him Friday night, and I will tell you this: at the high school level, that's a man among boys.
Is he the one that was Florida, then decommitted, and then recommitted?
It was Florida, decommitted when Beck. Everyone thought Beck was going to be a Gator, and then came back to the flock.
And he might fit better than Beck, to be
He
honest
does
with
fit
you.
better.
Yeah.
Beck fits better at Georgia because of the offense that they run.
He's not a,
I mean, there's no question about that.
Yeah.
I have one thing. A baseball fan in us. The playoffs start tonight. Is that correct? Don't we have the Nats and the Brew Crew?
It's the most stressful sport to watch if your team is in the postseason.
If your team's in it, I have nothing to lose in this game. I'm not as anti-Nat
as I am,
probably as you are. So I don't care who wins. If the Nats lose, then it's same old Nats. If the Nats win, well, then they can pound their chest and say we're better off without Bryce Harper, which is fascinating to me.
Well, but and that would be disingenuous because no, they're not.
Well,
you're not. I mean, the Nats have been making the playoffs just about every year with Harper.
If over these next 13 years they finish ahead of the Phillies every year, they made the prudent move by letting Bryce Harper walk and letting him get all that money.
Least,
Now, and I kind of almost feel sorry for the Nats in a way because
this is now gravitating to
because they have the MVP candidate in Anthony Rendon, who's had one wonderful season, right? And they offered him reportedly 7 years, $210 million. Mm-hmm. He turned it down.
Maybe
is he going to get more than that, Jeff?
I would hope not.
Is somebody going to pay Anthony Rendon, who's a really good player and had a perfect time to have a career year?
This is a sore subject for me because I read, and this doesn't matter at all, power rankings of all the players in the postseason, and I thought they had Rendon too high.
Well, he's pretty clutch this
I know
year.
he is. I know
He
he's
had
clutch. I know
year.
he's really good.
He had a better year. He did what Bryce Harper's supposed to do.
I just think that at some point when you're talking about who's better,
you
you
know
have
why
to
you
be
turned it down?
honest.
Why?
At some point, you have to be honest with yourself. And if you had the entire field to choose from, what order are you picking players? I don't think Rendon's getting picked third or fourth if you have your choice of everyone in the postseason.
Why was your guy too low or something?
Well, no, Acuna was like, I would take Acuna over Rendon all day long. You can have Anthony Rendon, that's great. But no, he's this first postseason. No, I don't. He was like 7th or 6th. It's not that. I got 5 Astros I'd rather have than Anthony Rendon.
Did they
the Braves had plenty. They had a top 50. Don't worry. We had 4 or 5. We had John. We had 3 in the top 13.
And said if he was in the playoffs, he would be number one.
Didn't include the non-playoff teams. Yeah,
just asking.
Said they. Matter of fact, the comment said this column is for winners only.
You know why you turned it down?
Why?
If you think about it, you'll know exactly why I turned it down.
Boris?
Boras.
Yeah. Okay.
He'll hit the market.
Yeah.
They all.
By the
did.
way, once again, that SOB manager killer, Joe Madden, has struck again.
What did Joe do?
This time, poor Brad Ausmus.
Brad Ausmus is a trash manager.
He is not a trash
awful
manager. He got 1 year in California, Jeff. He had to navigate a team that saw its best pitcher die. Their starting pitchers combined to win 28 games, Jeff. Their free agent signing, big free agent signing was Matt Harvey, who was cut by May with a 7 ERA. Brad Ausmus did the best he could do in his 1 year, and he was fired for one reason and one reason only yesterday, to make room for Joe Madden, just like 6 years
Joe
ago.
Madden. Look at me.
When the Cubs fired, what's his name?
Yeah,
Rick
and
Renteria.
just like the Angels,
White Sox manager.
Renteria.
Yeah, Renteria.
Just like the Cubs.
After 1 year.
Fired Rick Renteria into the sun, never to be heard from again.
He's in Chicago with the White Sox.
And he sucks.
Didn't Ausmus
And
manage
Brad Ausmus will go somewhere.
the Astros?
Did
Yes.
he manage him?
Yeah.
He managed Detroit
Detroit.
for 4
it was.
years.
Yeah.
And they were terrible every year?
No, they went to the World Series 3 times.
They did
Not
not.
with Ausmus. No, that was Slaver.
You're such a liar.
Forever ago. Let's do this.
He has a win percentage of .486.
Dan, you've always said that it's
He's
a crap.
He's a mean, hateful person, and I don't like him.
The trash manager.
Joe Madden.
Until he's the Mets manager here in about 3
I'm
weeks.
Joe Madden.
I
think we might get Buck.
Showalter?
Yeah.
He's been in New York at least. That
Oh,
probably wouldn't be bad.
Buck.
Yeah.
Buck's a good skipper.
I guess Mickey is dead man walking. So.
You know, Buck is doing what you, like, say Brad Ausmus didn't get the chance to do.
Yeah.
Take a garbage team and doing the best he can.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always disagree with you when you say that the draft, like recruiting, is a crapshoot. I think that they've got more of a sample size, and you should do better at the draft than you do at recruiting. But looking at the game this Sunday, I may have changed my mind. So we'll get into Jags.
Oh, it's a tease.
To Jags Panthers, and the ultimate indicator that teams just don't know what the hell they have.
Okay.
This is the drill. It's a Catlin Truck Accessories.
Caller number
Tuesday.
2 today, 641-1010. Be reminding folks what they're going to call in and get right now.
Yeah, caller number 2 at 641-1010 is going to take home a prize pack. Features some free airport parking from our friends at usapark.net and lunch or dinner for 2 from Chick-fil-A. Caller number 2 right now, 641-1010.